Good evening. I'm Anne-Marie Lipinski. I'm the curator of the Nieman Foundation for Journalism here at Harvard, and it is such a great honor to have you all with us this evening. Louis Lyons, the man for whom tonight's award is named, first came to the Nieman Foundation in 1938 as a member of the first class of Harvard's Nieman Fellows, and impressively he managed to accomplish that which many fellows dream about, but only one achieved. He stayed for 25 years. During Lyons Fellowship, Harvard's founding curator, Nieman curator, Archibald MacLeish, was appointed Librarian of Congress. So the university named Lyons his successor, and here he remained as curator until 1964. He had written for the Boston Globe and the Christian Science Monitor, and when he came here, he ushered in many important changes. Can you imagine a fellowship without women, without minority journalists, without international journalists, or one that was limited to newspaper reporters? Neither could Lyons, who welcomed all of these advancements during his tenure, paving the way for the richness of experience that is represented at today's Nieman Foundation. And while those developments may seem obvious from where we sit today, they were not always thus. Lyons admitted Nieman's first women fellows in 1945, 18 years before Harvard degrees were first awarded to Radcliffe women. When he completed his run as curator, an award was established in his name, and that is the reason we are here tonight. The prize honors conscience and integrity in journalism and is a distinction that has been awarded to some of the lions, L-I-O-N-S, of our profession, including the broadcaster Edward R. Murrow, crusading South African editor Zalaki Sisulu, the great Vietnam reporters Neil Sheehan and David Halberstam, and Gunawan Muhammad, an Indonesian journalist of great courage, along with the poet laureate of Indonesia and somebody who I had the great pleasure of sharing my Nieman year with. In recent years, the prize has gone to Mohammed Nabous, who was killed in Libya in 2011 while reporting on the Gaddafi forces' attacks on civilians in Benghazi. Marcella Tirati, a standard bearer for journalists who have risked their lives to document the devastating crush of violence in Mexico. Pamela Coliff, a Texas Monthly editor who reports and edits tenacious investigations into wrongful conviction. And Turkish journalist Hasan Cemal, whose long career dedicated to a free press we cherish even more this year, as journalists in that country confront strangling controls on their work. Tonight, we add Chinese journalist Yang Jisheng to this pantheon. His groundbreaking book, Tombstone, The Great Chinese Famine, documents in forensic detail a great human catastrophe, an achievement the Nieman class enthusiastically honors. We are saddened that he is not with us to accept this award. About that and about his work, we will hear more later. But I would like to make just one observation. Conscience and integrity are elusive qualities, easier to define in the breach. And we sometimes make the mistake of beholding them as the exclusive domain of those journalists who daily risk their lives, perhaps covering war. But there are places where the very act of asking questions is regarded as treasonous and career-ending. To do one's work in those conditions also requires a conscience and the greatest of journalistic integrity, something we shine a spotlight on here tonight. I wanted to say something of a personal note. I remember my Nieman year being part of the selection process for the Lyons Award, and we selected Colombian journalists, living and dead, who had been reporting on the drug wars. This was the great rise of the Medellin cartel. People had lost the lives of friends and family members. Their newsrooms had been blown up. And I remember going back to work after that year in Chicago, back to my newsroom, and hearing reporters complain about the things reporters complain about in American newsrooms, and feeling embarrassed and chastened, but mostly so enriched by the incredible experience of being here at Harvard, and for the first time in my life, really working day in and day out with journalists from other countries and seeing firsthand what they face and the mountains they climb to do their work every day. All these words are unnecessary if you look at one cartoon, which Chris Wayant, our brilliant Nieman Fellow and New Yorker cartoonist, put up on Facebook today, and it's a panel of, I'm going to take so many words to describe something so simple. It's this brick dungeon, the kind of thing you've all seen many times, and there's a big heavy door, and it's padlocked, and it's bolted, and there's a man whose authority we recognize because he's wearing robes and a crown, so he's in charge of everything, and he's saying to the man next to him, "This is where we keep our free press." The great tradition of the Lyons Award is that it is decided by the sitting class of Nieman Fellows. I offer special thanks to the 2016 Nieman Fellows, in particular to the Lyons Award co-chairs Deborah Adams-Simmons and Hamish McDonald. Who you will hear more from later, as well as fellows Fan Wan-chin and Fabiano Massavani, who played a very critical role in the work. The care and distinction that the class brought to the task was inspirational. And so while we are gathered to honor Mr. Yang, I offer up a warm and grateful toast to my fabulous Nieman Fellows. Handy glass of wine. A group of journalists I feel extraordinarily privileged to be among. To the 2016 Niemans. So please enjoy your dinner. And in a bit, we will welcome Deborah and Hamish to introduce tonight's program. Again, welcome. We are so glad you're here with us.